Hi everyone, Helmut Meyer here. Welcome to our channel about everything biblical Hebrew. Now on this playlist we are going to look at the feasts of Yahweh. Always a very contentious but also a very exciting subject, as many people live with a lot of confusion about what the Bible is actually saying about the feasts of Yahweh. And we're going to look at what exactly are the Hebrew words behind some of these generic terms that we use: feast, festival, appointed times, and many other. But to begin with, I would like to say we've extensively dealt with the subject in 2020 on, I think, 4 Zoom calls. I'm going to post the link below, but they're on the playlist under all the 2020 talks that we've had. So, not to repeat myself, I would highly encourage you to work through those videos, as a lot of time has gone into preparation there and a lot of the information is still true. There is, however, new things I've learned, and maybe just on a side note, I would like to add something very interesting and important. The Hebrew worldview is not about having a singular correct answer about anything. Very often in the Greek worldview, you would read a psalm, let's take Psalm 23, and you would have a standard, a single interpretation of the psalm. This is, however, not the way biblical Hebrew works. But since Hebrew represents a circular mindset or a circular worldview, there are some important things we need to know. Very often, you would come to a conviction right now that changes as time progresses. A lot of the things that I have believed 5 years ago, my mind has been changed about, because I've discovered new things, I've experienced new things, I've gone deeper with Yahweh, I've gone deeper with the Word of God. So I would like to encourage you to say, the danger even about a video like this is that you learn things and get stuck in that. So my encouragement would be, take what you can from these videos, but go seek the scriptures for yourself and embark on a journey that opens you up to learning new things as you move in circles every year. The Jews have a beautiful tradition that they read through the entire Torah every year. And it's a little bit like an open mine. You know, you move in circles, but every year you go deeper and you find more minerals. You find gems that lies deeper into the strata of the ground or the earth. So, same analogy applies. Okay. First of all, there's a couple of things that I need you to know, and it's almost going to be as a summary to the festivals of Yahweh. But what I want to start off with is putting a very specific distinction between the idea of Yahweh's appointed times, which by the way is the correct translation for the words that Yahweh speak about his own special days in the year, also about these special years in the text, and the idea of a festival. Now, first of all, if you go to your Bible app and you search the word feast or festival, the first verse that pops up is Genesis 19 verse 3. This is about Abram, and he said, he urged them greatly, and they came in with him and entered into his house. He made them a feast and baked unleavened bread, and they ate. Now, if you're into Hebrew, it feels like, oh yeah, this must be one of the feasts of Yahweh. But it isn't. The word behind feast there, if you tap on the interlinear, it's Strong's number 4960, if you want to look it up. This is the word MISHTEH, and it comes from the verbal form shatah, which literally means he drank or drink. When you put a mem in front of any verb in Hebrew, it forms the participle form, which is a noun derivative. In this case, shatah with a mem in front becomes the word mishteh, which literally means a drinking, a place of drinking. And it could be translated as a party or a banquet or a feast. If you have one of these apps that you can just type in an English word and it'll pop out all the occurrences, you will find that the word feast occurs about 5 times in Genesis, then in Judges again, 1st and 2nd Samuel, 1 Kings, Ezra, Esther a lot of times. And as a footnote, those of you who are familiar with the Feast of Purim, which the Bible recounts as a day that the Jews have decided upon to hold a banquet unto the Lord, that is not part of Yahweh's feast. Yahweh did not actually instigate that. Yahweh did not actually tell them to hold that. They decided on that and they vowed to keep that day. But interesting, the Bible does not say it's an appointed time of the Lord or an appointed time of Yahweh. It says that it is a feast, a banquet, a MISHTEH. Very important. And then after Esther, it goes on, and we have 2 occurrences in the book of Job, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, Isaiah, Jeremiah, and then very interestingly, also in the book of Daniel, you read about a banquet. And that is more connected to the idea of feasting or eating, a place of eating and drinking. But then again, it distinguishes between Yahweh's ordinances and that of a Babylonian king called Nebuchadnezzar, who wanted to feed the young men from Judah certain foods and certain drinks. And as you know the story, Daniel and his friends refused to eat the food that the king's butler wanted to place before them. So, as an introduction, I would want to say there is a Hebrew word in the Bible called MISHTEH, which is translated as feast or banquet or festival. And that is very, very different to what we read in Leviticus 23, 24, and 25. Now again, I've said there's a link below. Study the videos that goes into details. I want to summarize 3 points as we approach these holidays of the fall festivals, and separate videos will follow for them. 3 things we need to know. But before that, let's quickly open Leviticus 23, and I'm reading from the World English Bible. Speak to the children of Israel and tell them, the set feasts of Yahweh, which you shall proclaim to be holy convocations. Even these are my set feasts. Pay close attention. And then verse 3, 6 days shall work be done, but on the 7th day is a Sabbath of solemn rest, a holy convocation. You shall do no manner of work. It's a Sabbath to Yahweh in all your dwellings. And then verse 4, these are the set feasts of Yahweh, even holy convocations, which you shall proclaim in their appointed season. A lot of words, but it's actually really simple. And we're going to look at 3 words that stand out. First of all, let's look at the word in verse 2 where Yahweh speaks to Moses and say, tell the children of Israel the set feasts of Yahweh. That word is the word Moedim. Moedim. And that literally means a place in time. So it means there's a specific geographical location that God wanted to do something, and it is at a very specific time. Moedim, and it's the male plural. The singular word is Moed. And then very importantly, it doesn't say the Moedim of the Jews. It doesn't say the appointed time of the Jewish people. It says the appointed times of Yahweh, the set times of Yahweh. This is his thinking. This is his invention. Very important, because there is this misunderstanding in certain circles that the feasts of Yahweh or the appointed times of Yahweh is literally something that belongs to the Jewish people. Well, what is true about the Jewish people is that they've been entrusted as the custodians of the festival. Had it not been for them, we would have known nothing. Had it not been for the scribal traditions that preserved the biblical text, there would have been nothing left of this. There would also have been no New Testament, by the way. So we owe this to our older Jewish brothers who have preserved and kept, who acted as custodians of these information. Okay, that's the first point. The appointed times of Yahweh. It literally means those set dates and set places belong to Yahweh. Very important. First thing. Okay. Secondly, it speaks about a holy convocation. Again in verse 2, that word, holy convocation, a participle form called Mikra Kodesh. First of all, a Mikra is again a participle form. You have the word kara, which means to call out. If I call out your name, the correct Hebrew verb would be kara. Okay? Put a mem in front of that, and it becomes mikra. It means a place of calling out. Now, over time, the English word has become convocation. It's a very loaded word, and it's a very heavy word, but it means getting together. And actually, scholars agree that a very good translation for the word mikra, a place of calling out, is a dress rehearsal. And then it is followed by the word kodesh, which means set apart. So it is a calling out, a place of calling out that is different to any other time or any other space. Right? So we have the set or the appointed times of Yahweh, point number one. And secondly, we have a convocation, a place of calling out, which is set apart, a mikra kodesh. And the third word we want to discuss occurs for the first time in Exodus chapter 5, and this is the word traditionally translated as feast or festival. Remember, this is now different to the word MISHTEH, which is a banquet or a party, where literally is about the eating and drinking. This is about Yahweh's ordinances, and it is different to just being a place where we eat and drink, or a event where we eat and drink. Now hear this interesting line. And afterwards Moses and Aaron went in and told Pharaoh, "Thus said Yahweh, God of Israel, let my people go, that they may hold a feast unto me in the wilderness." Quite an interesting choice of words to tell the king of Egypt that the people of God needs to go into the desert to hold a feast unto him. So for that reason, Pharaoh now needs to let the people go. I find it very interesting. But here the word behind the translation of feast. That word is the word chagag. And chagag, if you just take Strong's, it says to hold a feast, to hold a festival, make a pilgrimage. But literally this word means to move in a circle. Okay, the word chug is a circle. Chagag is the verbal form. It literally means to move in a circle. Now, it could mean that they literally went into the desert and did some dances or performed some ritual that they moved in a circle. But in Hebraic thinking, literally, to move in a circle means to do things repeatedly at the correct time. Remember, you now need to put all of these strange concepts, the appointed times of Yahweh, a holy convocation, a holy calling out, a set apart calling out, and the fact that they need to do this repeatedly. There is a picture forming here, which forms the basis of our understanding of Yahweh's appointed times. Alright? And this moving in a circle has got to do with doing this annually, repeating this at its designated time. And this is very important that we have these three concepts in mind. And I'm going to summarize it again. First of all, we put the word feast, which means to banquet or to party or to eat and to drink. We put that aside. There is a word for that, and that is the word MISHTEH. When we move on to Exodus and Leviticus, we find 3 points. First of all, the set apart times of Yahweh, called the Mo'edei Yahweh. They are not necessarily Jewish festivals. They are appointed times that God himself, that Yahweh himself has set out. Secondly, these days are holy convocations. They are mikra kodesh, times that we get together, that we are called out of the normal, out of the mundane, to do certain things. And then third, it is important to God that we keep moving in circles, that we keep repeating these appointed times, these holy convocations at their right time. I hope this helps, and in the next video we will start unpacking the feasts of Yahweh.